So that's the thing, Shane. It's like, it's so incredible. When you think about this, everybody wants to know about the Chicago Bears. The Bears are the hottest thing in all of football. And check it out. Check out this thing that Fox Sports PR sent out based on this Sunday night game. 5.1 million viewers, which kills any other sport and any other thing. Maybe the Premier League does better. I don't know. But here's what I do know is that everybody wants to talk about the Chicago Bears. I feel like 3 million of those people were fans of the Chicago Bears. 2 million were the hate watchers, hoping that Caleb Williams was going to fall on his face and not perform well. And now they have nothing to say. Now they don't know what to do. They're sitting there. They're struggling to find out, oh, what are we going to do now? And so for me, I think it's just an indication of these theories that we've had for quite some time, that whenever you hear a national personality or you hear somebody talking poorly about the Bears, it's because they know the Bears generate the most interest. Colin Cowherd works for Fox Sports. Fox is confirming what they're saying. Like, Colin, talk about the Bears. People will respond because their fans are, meatballs like me and like Greg Braggs and all those guys, and they're going to come out here and defend our team. So this just goes, there's more proof to the pudding, but gosh, there's so much cool stuff to talk about. Shane, let's just go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
It's Wednesday night. You know what that means? It is time for Take It to the Rank. And there is so much stuff going on in the world on Wednesday nights. We've got Take It to the Rank. We've got AEW Dynamite. The challenge is in full swing. And of course, the Tape Never Lies Network coming up here shortly as well. So much to get to. The starters are going to be going in Kansas City. Tyson Bagent is getting an extension. And the Lions fans, and it's actually the Lions players, they've been embarrassing themselves. So to break it all down tonight is from CHGO. We do the After Dark on Monday night. Please welcome to the show, Greg Braggs. Greg, how are you living?
I'm living good. Here. We're just almost to the regular season. It's crazy, how long we wait for training camp to get here, and preseason, and football's finally on TV.
Right.
And now here, when Friday finishes up, we'll be waiting for week 1 of the regular season. It'll be here, 2 weeks from tomorrow. That is crazy.
It'll be here before you know it. September 8th, kicking off against the Minnesota Vikings and J.J. McCarthy, who everybody was ready to say was, I think I saw some poll somewhere where like, J.J. McCarthy is the 10th best quarterback in the NFL. You're like, this guy who's never thrown a pass in the NFL is the 10th best somehow. And some of the other guys and competitors, not quite on that list. I do want to ask though, that we did talk about this. I mentioned this a second ago. Ben Johnson said, I think Ben Johnson first said this on the Kay Adams show. He also mentioned it today in a press conference that the starters are going to go against the Kansas City Chiefs. How long do you think the starters are going to go? Did he give any clarity to that? And how long do you think they should go?
Yeah, I don't think he gave any clarity to it, but with Andy Reid playing his starters for Kansas City at home, I think that might have played into it as well.
Right.
So I guess maybe it'll depend on how long Kansas City starters stay out there. The last game they played 2 series each, right? Yeah. Offense and defense. So I think that's the maximum. Obviously the minimum being 1 series each. So I'm not going to get greedy. I'd play him a whole quarter. Heck, I'd play him a whole half. I mean, this used to be the 3rd preseason game where you still had a 4th preseason game to go before the regular season. And your 3rd preseason game typically was when you'd go all the way to halftime with your starters. But obviously this is a different era of the NFL. So I won't beat that dead horse of wishing that's how it used to be. But I do think 2 series apiece for each side of the ball, I think will be probably what we see.
Yeah, and it really is an opportunity because the 2 previous games for the Chicago Bears have been at home, and now is an opportunity to go out and find out what the road routine is going to be like for Ben Johnson. They have not been on the road. They won't go on the road until week 2 when they're out playing Ben Johnson's old club, the Detroit Lions. So this is a real chance to go out there and kind of go through the groundwork and kind of go through the situation. Like, hey, what time do we get to the bus? What time do we leave the airport? Or all those things that matter for somebody and Ben Johnson is obviously somebody who takes the hypercritical look at these things and the attention to detail. So it's not something to take lightly. You got to go out there and go through it. I know a lot of people were curious going into Sunday night's game, not knowing what we're going to see out of Caleb Williams or anything like that. What are we looking for in this one? What are we expecting? And is there anything, what do you want to see out of Caleb Williams in this Bears offense or the team in general?
Well, essentially the same thing we saw in the last game, and that's clean operation. It's really less about how many stats you can put up, or there is no scheme. Like Ben was asked after the game on Sunday night, what were you doing schematically? And he was like, nothing. It wasn't about scheme. It was about playing with aggressiveness. And he said he was most proud of the clean operations. And then on the Up and Adams show, like you said, where, Kay Adams was at House Hall and interviewed DJ Moore and Roma Dunze and Ben Johnson and, a bunch of other people as she was going through all the different, interviews for the team. And Ben even said, like, no, we just used a playbook from 4 years ago that I used at Detroit for this preseason game. So it's not really about the plays or how, obviously you want them to get first downs. You want to get a touchdown. That was a great way to, start your preseason last week. If you're the first team offense, first drive right out the gate, you score a touchdown, but it's really just more about the clean operations because today they had a padded practice. And once again, the pre-snap penalties came back to haunt them. They were clean Sunday. Now they come to practice and there's delay games and there's false starts and things. And so, the fact that they were able to stay clean in the game is a very good sign, but I also just, want them to try to get as consistent as they can from an operations standpoint. So that's really just the number one thing. I brought it up on our show, on our post-game show. And then on After Dark, I said it, and I even tweeted out this whole, breakdown, and it may sound silly, but once again, just to tell your audience, like the first half, they had 53 plays, 53 snaps on offense. And every single time they had at least 10 seconds on the play clock when they got to the line of scrimmage. And 23 of those 53 times they had 15 or more seconds on the play clock. And that just gives Caleb Williams an opportunity to settle himself, see the defense, identify the middle linebacker, get your protections in order, check at the line of scrimmage if you have to, and even use your cadence to potentially draw the defense off sides. And so there's just so many different things. Then they can run different tempo. Do we come up to the line of scrimmage with 14 seconds on the play clock and snap it right away? Or do we come up to the line of scrimmage and go through, a little bit of a cadence routine, motion a guy in the backfield and give a different look of tempo to the defense? Those things throw off a pass rush as well. So to me, practicing and just really executing those clean operations is only going to serve to help the rhythm of this offense going into week 1 against Brian Flores and the Vikings defense.
Were you at practice today?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how the reaction was with Ben Johnson because I can't imagine. I think that the world in large is starting to get a glimpse of what the intensity of Ben.
Well, I can tell you just from CHGO Bears post practice show that just got done here right as we were starting. Adam Hogue reported that the first team offense was having pre-snap issues, and Ben told the first team offense, "You missed your chance. Get off the field. Second team up." Wow. And so for one particular series, he told him, all right, you had your chance. Now second team gets their reps since you guys don't want to have your stuff together. It's August 20th, so Ben's not messing around. And I think the offense, obviously first team offense understands the standard that they have to play under, but that's the thing. They were clean on Sunday, but it's a lot of what you see in preseason is scripted, especially at the beginning of the game, like they were with first team. So, when you're at training camp, you have a lot more snaps happening quickly.
Yeah.
And so it's not as scripted, and as, I just don't know the right word for it, but it's just not the same order of operations. At camp, they throw things at you very quickly. So you have to be ready for them. And that is a simulation of how it will eventually go in the game. When you get into the third and fourth quarter, you're not scripted anymore. The defense is throwing a lot of different looks at you, and you've got to be ready to move quickly, get in and out of the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage on time, and get that ball snap before the delay of game hits. They weren't able to do that today. And so Ben Johnson said, out you go. Let Tyson Bagent, the newly extended Tyson Bagent and the second team offense, take care of it from there.
Now, I love the attention to detail, and I love trying to instill a championship mentality here in Chicago. And speaking of champions, you can win your fantasy league or you can own it. Too many fantasy champs would walk away with a plastic trophy and a sad little group chat. GG. That ain't it. This is Crown Champs, baby. Custom championship crowns, rings, scepters, robes. You don't just win, you rule your league. And sure, your buddy's hosting a draft at Applebee's again. Meanwhile, Crown Champs is throwing draft parties on party buses, rooftops, even freaking yachts. Yeah, fantasy football just got royal. Sign up for the Hall of Champions subscription designer level gear starting at just $2.99 a month. That's less than your league mates spend crying into their chicken tenders. Don't play like a peasant. Get crowned like a champ. Hit up crownchamps.com. That's crownchamps.com and tell them Adam Rank sent you. Promo code RANK15 and save 15% on your order. And speaking of Tyson Bagent taking over there with the second team, he got an extension. Earlier today, it was announced that Tyson Bagent signed an extension. He's going to remain a member of the Chicago Bears. We don't have the sound, but I want to ask you, are you surprised that the Bears are being so proactive with Tyson Bagent? And secondly, are you shocked that Tyson Bagent would sign a contract? Because when you look around the league, he might have been able to cash in after this season.
It certainly was a decision for Tyson Bagent, right? I mean, you're trying to balance, playing under this coaching staff for the next couple of years, see how things play out. You just never know in this league, unfortunately, and we're all rooting for Caleb Williams to have a big year. But, last year was the first year a Bears starting quarterback played every game of the season since like 2008 or something. It's been a long time. And so most quarterbacks on every team have a hard time playing all 17 games. So maybe Tyson has an opportunity in the regular season to show what he has to other teams. But at the same time, I'm not as surprised just because it is a safe bet for him. Now you get $10 million and some security there, coming from Division II, coming from, small town West Virginia. And now you're able to provide for your family life-changing money. He was emotional at the podium today about it, talking about how his dad didn't have running water until he was in high school. And, he's got a baby on the way, and so he's got a life things he has to think about while also betting on himself. And so I think this is the happy medium for both him and the Bears, because he at the end of this year, had he not signed the contract, he was still a restricted free agent.
Right.
So the Bears would have been able to keep him, whether Tyson wanted that or not, if that's really what the Bears wanted. And so now you have a little bit of say so on your contract, and that leverage also will help you with other teams. He becomes even more, more of an interesting type of person to look at, to pick up if you're another team, especially this upcoming offseason, because it's not an expensive contract for a backup quarterback that, has shown that he has a lot of talent. Maybe the other teams in the league don't know it just because we don't get to see it, on a primetime stage in the regular season, but this guy has really grown. And when you talk about guys that are MVPs of training camp this year, he's on that list.
Yeah,
he really is. I know he's playing second and third team players at times. He did get reps against first team defense. There were times where you'd have first team offense play second team defense, and second team offense play first team defense. And during those periods, he held his own.
Yeah.
So that, him and Luther Burden and Tyler Scott, they've had strong connections throughout training camp. So Bears fans are lucky to have Tyson Bagent as their backup. And, I think it's a good deal all around for both parties.
I think I don't know if ironic is the way to put this, but, for so many years, the Bears have been searching for a franchise quarterback. Now we sit in a position where you could probably confidently say, and I believe that most people would agree with this. I don't think that we will get any pushback as I say these words, but the Bears have the 2 best quarterbacks in the division. Nobody would disagree with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure. No, I mean,
even the most ardent Lions fan would have to be like, of course, Tyson Bagent's better than Jared Goff. I don't think we'd get any argument.
Of course. I mean, yeah, it's only a matter of time before Green Bay's knocking on the Bears' door to, replace Jordan Love with Tyson Bagent, which we would never do unless they wanted to give us like 3 first-round picks or something. But no, it's I think they're just in a very good position here with these guys because, as Phil said on Monday night, to have a quarterback as your backup that mirrors a lot of the abilities that Caleb Williams has. Well, then if he comes in, you don't have to change the offense as much. It's not like, when, Jay Cutler got hurt and you had what was the old timer's name that came in for a few series in the NFC Championship?
God. I can see his face.
I'd have to help us out, chat.
Where's the chat? Somebody's got it. Somebody's yelling at us now.
Yeah, well, there was the middle guy because then Caleb Haney ended up finishing the game.
Yeah,
but whoever the old timer was in between, that totally changes your complexion of what you can do offensively. Now, in this scenario, if he has to come in for a series or whatever, you don't really have to change as much. Todd Collins.
Collins. There it is.
Todd Collins.
Thank
right?
you.
I believe that's who it was.
Yeah, that's right.
So, thank you, chat. But point being, I think the Bears are just in a really good place. Tyson Bagent has been very consistent at training camp. Ben Johnson, couldn't speak higher of him in terms of his work ethic and how well he knows the playbook. Ryan Poles is on the telecast saying there's nobody that works harder on this team. And when you're from Division II, West Virginia, you have to survive in this league. So good for him. Good for Tyson Bagent. Applaud him and his family for everything they've been through to get to this point. And he's proven it since the day he walked out and beat PJ Walker out for that QB2 job.
Right.
And now here we are 3 years later, and he's, getting the first contract extension for a quarterback in this city since Jay Cutler. Right. So that's that's kind of tells you where we're at. And to your point, it seems like we're in a very healthy spot in our quarterback room. And I think the other overarching fact about all of this, when you talk about Tyson Bagent's decision to come here or to stay here in Chicago instead of trying to go somewhere and be a starter, he wants to stay with this coaching staff. Right. If this coaching staff wasn't good, and maybe we didn't hear, like last year at this time, the offensive players, according to Keenan Allen and others, they were already questioning Shane Waldron at this point. Well, if that was going on right now, Tyson Bagent wouldn't be signing an extension. So I think this is a huge tell that Tyson Bagent is going to sacrifice 2 more years of his career because he knows he's now developing with one of the best offensive minds and quarterback developers you can possibly have. That's only going to help him in the future. So I just think when you look at what we have from a coaching standpoint, to have a guy saying, I'm going to sacrifice this because I want to be with these guys, I think that should excite a lot of Bears fans about what that means for this coaching staff.
Yeah, and having a backup as good as Tyson Bagent is such a luxury. And I know everybody's running around being like, why don't they trade him to the Saints for Alvin Kamara? I'm like, first of all, that's not going to happen. Second of all, like, I remember back in the day when the Bears had Steve Fuller was like not a star on the level of Jim McMahon, but was a competent backup that the team believed in. They let him be a part. They gave him lines in the Super Bowl shuffle. They didn't throw him in the back with one of the fake instruments. He was actually really out there delivering lines in this. And I think having that kind of luxury, and I would say the sincerest hope for Tyson, and this isn't I know he would love to play football, but at the same time, I hope 2 years from now, he comes in a week 19 game, because that's where we're trending. A week 19 or week 20, it would be week 20 because we'll have 2 bye weeks by then. A week 20 game and throws for 500 yards and pulls the Matt Flynn and gets a $5 million, $500 million deal from the Colts or something to go out there to be their quarterback of the future. So I think this is a good opportunity for him. And I think that similar to what we saw, what Aaron Rodgers was able to do, even to some extent, Jordan Love, obviously Tyson's a better player than Jordan Love. And I think most people recognize that. But still, an opportunity to sit and learn like the quarterbacks used to back in the day. And then when he does get his chance, when he is and I truly do believe that he's someday going to be a quarterback one for some franchise. I hope it's not the Bears, because selfishly that would mean that Caleb Williams is dealing. We don't need to deal with that. But he's going to go out there and get his opportunity with somebody, perhaps the Dolphins or whomever, as long as it's in the AFC. But I will say this, I won't act like Lions fans if he does play for a team in the NFC or even in the division. I'll get to that in a second. A couple of things I want to say. Fernando Carrillo, who is listening and watching from Corona, California. Thank you so much. That is where I went to high school and all that stuff. Yes, I went to school in California, people. I know people have not. I've gone over this many times, but I was born in the Chicagoland area, and but I did grow up in Corona, where Fernando is weighing in from. And speaking of this, and let me ask you a question. Where is your next game day spot going to be? Listen, if you're a real Chicago sports fan, and I'm talking Bears, Bulls, Hawks, Cubs, even the Sox, you need to be watching the games at Twisted Shamrock, the place to be for game day. They've got monster TVs in the private party room, in the main bar, and outside on their stellar patio. This is patio season in Chicago, and the Twisted Shamrock has rowdy fans, bucket specials, and our fan favorite, the old-fashioned swing by Twisted Shamrock, where Chicago sports come together. And honestly, the old-fashioned, I might just make a trip. I might book a flight to Midway just to go have one of those old-fashions, but that'll be for another time. Do want to ask you, though, because you mentioned this, you alluded to this a moment ago, and I know we've heard some of the fans talking about this as well. On the Up and Adams show, I believe it was Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown who were like, I saw Ben Johnson running some of the same play. Like, really, guys? Are you this hurt? Are you that angry ex that's got to now respond to her ex's Instagram post like, we used to go there. How dare you take her there? Is this what we should expect from the Lions fans going forward, Greg?
Yes. I think that was a perfect representation of what's happening there. They are constantly checking Ben Johnson's Instagram. They are just jealous scrolling, and they're doom scrolling like, oh man, what is Ben up to? How could he be happy without us? Yeah. Look how happy he is without us. We're just over here struggling with our new person trying to lead us, and we just miss our Ben. That's all this is, and that's fine. It's flattering, and we feel bad for you, but this is reality for you, Detroit, and you're going to find that out in week 2.
Yeah, they are. And by the way, Bellissimo says that our preseason vanilla is the Detroit's regular season gumbo, which is could not be truer words, could not be spoken, which is, just look at Detroit pizza compared to Chicago pizza. Like, it's no contest. We have 2 styles of pizza that are better than Detroit style. Although if somebody does Detroit style pizza correctly, it is actually pretty good. But still, I just love the whole fact of Jahmyr Gibbs being like, we ran play action. You can't do that. Like, it's, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe it hasn't happened with us before. Like when Vic Fangio, I don't know, he went to Denver. But when Vic, okay, you know what? I'll go with Buddy Ryan. Like Buddy Ryan, when he went to Philadelphia, there was some consternation and there was some like, yeah, you know what? Like, I wish Buddy Ryan wasn't here. I don't remember that. Maybe I'm mistaken. If there's an old head around, where's Mike North when you need him? I wonder if the Bears fans back in the day, maybe they did act this way about Buddy Ryan. There would be I would love to find it. Can I get an old person to weigh in? Were we this butthurt when Buddy Ryan left? I don't remember it. I wasn't old enough to really remember it. Maybe they were, because I know a lot of the players love Buddy Ryan. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I would think, but obviously I was too young for that, being the young person here on the program. But I will say,
you're not that young.
I will say I'm still in my 30s.
Compared to me, you're young.
I'm holding on for dear life. Still in my 30s for a few more months anyway. But I will say, when Jordan retired for the second time and then went to the Wizards, like, we were paying attention.
Yeah.
But it wasn't one of those things. I don't know. Maybe it was because we already had 6 NBA championships in our pocket.
Right.
But I don't remember like this full out jealousy. I mean, I know he started out as an owner, then he decided, all right, I can't watch these guys struggle. I'm going to go out there, or however it laid out. But I don't remember it the same way. This is a little different, and you got to feel for Detroit fans. They had their moment in the sun for a few years. They squandered it. They should have went to the Super Bowl one of those years. They know it. Everyone knows it. And now the guy that, the mad scientist, the smooth operator that got Jared Goff to heights he had never seen before.
Yeah.
Now he's not there, and they're panicking, and that's understandable. That is a big takeaway. Like, I think it's more of a panic thing than anything else. And I'm with you. I remember when Kobe left the Lakers to go. Oh, wait, no, wait. Kobe stayed for the Lakers his entirety of his career. That's a bad example. But really, the whole thing with Buddy Ryan, like, okay, he goes to Philadelphia. And let's say I'm reading some of the comments here, and people are like, they don't know, like, they don't really remember. But at the same time, when Buddy Ryan left, he didn't have a Super Bowl. So at least the Bears got a Super Bowl out of it. Right.
Maybe that's why the Lions are so upset, is they never had an opportunity. Because if
because when you think about last year, there was if Ben wanted a job a year ago at this time, he could have gotten it. And he said, no, I'm going to stay because we're trying to finish what we started here. He thought he needed to, cook in the oven a little more, learning how to be a coach. But it was also about trying to finish what they started, because the year before last year is really where they squandered, a 2-score lead, right? In the NFC Championship. They blew it to the San Francisco 49ers.
Bottle job, yes.
As
my friends in the UK, Berlissimo would call it a bottle job.
Yeah, it was a total bottle job. And so last year was trying to right that wrong. And the Lions are going to continue to be a good team. I'm sure they have a very talented roster. Yes, they're going to be a good team. Let's just, until they're not, they are. Okay. But at the same time, like, those last couple of years might have been their best opportunity. And for Ben to come back for one more year, that's it. All right, this is it. Last chance, and so there's a finality to that, and a reset button. They lost Aaron Glenn too. Yeah. They lost Antoine.
Which they're fine with, by the way. They don't seem to be upset that Aaron Glenn or Tanner Engström are sitting over there in New York. They're like, that part of it's fine. I don't see Aiden Hutchinson crying and moaning like, I saw that the Jets were trying to tackle people. That's what we did. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a weird offseason, right? The Dolphins beat writers came to Chicago, and they're like, the Bears are practicing too hard. And now this week comes around, and the Lions are like, they're copying us. Like, so I don't know what's going on, but everyone seems to be really focused on sharpening their knives for Caleb Williams preseason game. So, you got Washington Commanders fans just, purging, different chat rooms. You got, Don Burr and Jim Richels, resident Lions fans that go into every Bears stream.
So they're old school. They're fun.
They're the OGs. But at the same time, like, we've just got a lot going on here where, I even posted when the Bears scored on their first drive, I put just a reminder, the Bears did not score on a first drive all of last year. And there was a bunch of Commanders fans and a few Lions fans, and they're like, well, they still haven't. This is a preseason game. I didn't say otherwise. Why are you getting all defensive? But that's kind of where we're at right now. But I think there's a little bit of nervousness that maybe the Bears finally will have their day.
Yeah. It's funny. Number one, I think that Ben Johnson did stay after they bottled it against the 49ers to give it one more go, one more run to see if they could get to a Super Bowl. He saw Jared Goff. He's like, bro, I could be here forever. We're never winning this mother. So he left, wisely so. The whole thing with the Commander fans were all about our mentions Sunday night. Be like, preseason guys, calm down. And then Jaden Daniels makes a run against the Bengals. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, see, face of the NFL. You're like, first of all, you notice that Washington didn't have Jaden Daniels throw the ball at all. They were too scared to let him throw because they know better. Second of all, the whole thing with that run too, and I was explaining this to somebody, I go, that's a lot. And they're like, it was against the Bengals starters. I'm like, this is the point. Those Bengals starters are secure in their job. And not a single one of them wanted to be the guy that took Jaden Daniels. Like, imagine if you tried to tackle Jaden Daniels in that instance and something unfortunate happened. Like, you would never live that down. I think that there were a lot of business decisions being made by the Bengals people who are like, yeah, you're good. Like, go ahead. Like, I'm not being that guy. I'm not touching you in a preseason game. I don't want the fine. I don't want this. I don't want that. Like, run into the end zone, dude. It's all you. But it'll be interesting. I'm curious because, like, and this is another thing too, is like, I'm realistic about, I'm like, there's still things that need to be worked on. It's one preseason thing, but it did shut a lot of people up, which I love. I love that part of it, but I don't know. People are so overreactive instead of letting things play out. And I think that even for the Bears, there's going to be some times where they're going to need a little bit of, there's going to be a little time that needed to make everything smooth, even at practice today. So I think we can both be excited and still guarded at the same time.
Yep. I'm with you, man. I like all, you're kind of the master at this, right? Jaden Daniels scores a touchdown and you're like, well, the Bengals stars didn't want to tackle. Like, I don't play like the 3D chess that you play with the minds of opposing fan bases.
That's true though, because I know I will fine. Next time I see, you know what? There's a former Bear that I work with who played defense. I will ask him that question. And I'll try to keep it off the record, but you'll be able to figure it out. You'll be like, well, who does Rank interact with at the NFL Network? But like, I'm always shocked by some there's a guy who worked with me. I don't work with him anymore, and it's not Chase Daniel. But there are some other guys who are always like, oh yeah, like all I wanted was this. Like you know what? I just wanted to get to the 5 years to get the pension. You're like, really? There was a former NFL quarterback who was a Heisman Trophy winner, who was then becoming a career backup, who blew out his shoulder, who prayed that he never had to get into a game because he was collecting checks. And he was like, if I ever have to go and throw a ball, they're going to see it, and then I'm going to be out of the league. And sure enough, the starter goes down. He had to go in, and then that next week he was cut. So I truly do believe that those Bengals players were like, nah, you're good. You're good, Jaden. Don't you you played sports, you're like, all right, don't touch this guy. Because otherwise, like, we had guys in practice like that who you'd be like, yeah, whatever. Or even like playing baseball, like, don't throw, don't make this guy look like a fool or whatever. Like, you had to go out there and let them do their things. It's kind of like how I would have to probably give you putts.
Yeah, for sure. You would certainly today. I will say this, if he had tried that on Brisker preseason or not, I don't know if Brisker would have let him.
Brisker's the one guy that I think would be like, I'm not out here playing. There are certain guys. One of my favorite Jaquan Brisker moments is we were playing in Cam Hayward's Celebrity Softball Classic back when he might have been a rookie, might have been his second year. And so he's out there playing, and I'm left-handed, and my glove was missing. And I'm like, this is really odd because this is my stuff over here. And my glove is something that I will not let out of my possession. I've had this glove since before high school. been restrung at least once. So I'm like, how did I leave? I wouldn't have left it in the locker room. And they had given us like brand new gloves too to be in part of this thing, but I hated it because it's not broken in. I'm like, where is it? I'm like looking around. I'm like, how did I lose this? Like, it just doesn't. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was filming something and Jaquan Brisker was looking for a left-handed glove and they handed it to him. He was on the opposing team. And so I saw him out there in center field with the glove. I'm like, where's the lefty? Like, oh, there it is. I'm like, oh, it's Jaquan Brisker. I'm like, very cool. And because it was Jaquan Brisker, I allowed it to happen. If it had been like a Packer, if it was Christian Watson, I would have walked out during the middle of the game. I would have had somebody film this, of course. Be like, I'm going to go get my glove from Christian Watson or Romeo Dobbs or whomever. Be like, take the new glove. Give me this thing. But so then I told him, I go, if you want to use this because it's broken in for the entirety of the game, well, we just meet up on the way in. And so every time we met up in the field, I handed him the glove and I said, bleep the Packers. But I said the real F word. And he laughed and he repeated it to me. And then next time around, he started it first. He handed it to me. He was like, bleep the Packers. So I agree with your point. Jaquan Brisker would not have been playing if that was the case.
Definitely not.
I love that about him. I'm so happy. What about now Terrell Smith, though, is going to be out for the entirety of the season, which is a huge blow. We've had some injuries in the secondary. Are you concerned, though, about the secondary right now at this stage of being so close to the kickoff of the season?
Well, it's certainly not good. I mean, Terrell Smith, I still think was probably fighting for some sort of a roster spot, on the back end. They're probably going to keep 7 corners. And so you lose Terrell Smith. Maybe that opens the door for Trey Flowers, who certainly has some size. Kyler Gordon was back on the practice field today. So that's a great sign. I mean, he wasn't in team drills, but he was at least back out in pads. So that only leads you to believe that he should be ready for week 1 here coming up on September 8th. And all indications seem like Jalen Johnson will also be ready for that game. He was out pregame before the preseason game on Sunday night against the Bills, warming up and looked pretty healthy. So, those are your 2 best players in your secondary. And then after that, obviously you've got Nashawn Wright and Tyreek Stevenson, as your corners, Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker holding it down, Jonathan Owens, your backup safety, and some different guys. Nick McLeod and Josh Blackwell are 2 guys that have kind of been fighting for reps over there. So they got enough names. It certainly hurts to lose a guy like Terrell Smith, who's physical and can do some different things, but seems like they're holding on for dear life. I mean, right now, I think maybe the bigger concern right now in terms of injuries is Austin Booker and Dom Robb both got hurt in Sunday's game. And, I feel like you're a little thinner in your pass rush on the edge. You've got Montez Sweat and Dio Odangbo, but then Austin Booker and Dom Robb are supposed to be your 3rd and 4th pass rushers behind them. And so with those guys hurt, I don't know if we got an update today on the severity of those injuries, but I'd be more concerned about that right now than the secondary if it were me. Now, especially now with Kyler and Jalen looking like they'll be back for week 1.
Yeah, Gringo Suave is asking, what's the scoop on Za Frazier?
Well, he was actually back out. He had his uniform on and was on the practice field today. They haven't disclosed why he's been out. They said it was for personal reasons. So obviously for someone that, was drafted this year and a rookie, and for him to miss all of training camp for personal reasons, and obviously the coaching staff isn't saying anything about it, it only leads you to believe that it's something serious, personal to him and his family. So certainly not going to speculate on what that is, but the fact that he was back out there today was obviously a really good sign, and hopefully whatever he's going through, he's getting through, and hopefully he's ready at some point to start developing, with Al Harris in the secondary. And it's a good secondary to develop behind, but he's obviously a little bit behind now with everything that he's had going on in his personal life. But it was good. He was back out there today. So it was the first sighting we've seen of him all of training camp since it started 3.5 weeks ago.
Excellent sign there. We have a comment or a question from D. Steron at 742. He's like, how do I stop myself from thinking that this year is going to be different? Why would you want to stop yourself from thinking such things. This is the time of year we should have hope. Maybe at some point we do get smacked back into reality, but right now the whole world is in front of us. And if you don't have hope, then what are we even doing here, Greg?
Well, you know me, Rank. I've fought the good fight this whole offseason, and I have to give myself a nice pat on the back, but I stayed true to my word in terms of I haven't lost my meatball. I can totally
You're still
find my way to Meatball Island. I can see the pathway to this team winning 10 plus games this year. But what I would say to you is it's not about stopping yourself from thinking this year is going to be different. Let's just follow the lead of the head coach, Ben Johnson, who does not, he doesn't suffer fools, and he doesn't make excuses for anyone. And he comes out after games and says, this wasn't good enough. This guy needs to be more consistent. I'm going to take my first team offense off the field today because they had delayed games. I'm going to create competition at left tackle and cornerback 2 and heck, even the Tyson Bagent extension, Tyson Bagent, hardest worker on the team. This guy knows the playbook in and out. That's going to keep Caleb Williams, your quarterback 1, on his toes. You've got competition all over the field, and Ben Johnson is somebody that's holding this team to a very high standard. And so that is why it should be different, but let's just continue to follow his lead. I mean, after the family fest and they had like 4 delayed games, a bunch of pre-snap penalties. Like, we're not going to win many games. We keep acting like this. Yeah. So he wasn't sitting there going, we're on the right track. Everything will be okay. We're still, 4 weeks away from the season. No, he said, no, we act like this. We're not going to win games. If Braxton Jones doesn't show more consistency, then that's not good enough. If Darnell Wright doesn't, have better conditioning, then he's going to lose focus on reps. Luther Burden to start training camp, you're going to play to a certain standard. No block, no rock. And you see him, you see Jade Walker, you see some different people laying down big-time blocks to open up the holes for running backs to make a play. So, to me, I think Ben Johnson has set a standard for this team, and it's not about putting the cart before the horse in terms of the expectations. It's about getting the work done first, playing with aggressiveness, playing with a certain mentality, and having a certain standard for yourself. And then that is going to translate into whatever we hope is going to be different here going forward.
I couldn't have said it better myself, and I will not try to top that. I do want to bring up this comment from Winterman63, who said, discovered Mr. what do we know? Greg can't wait to break loose. First of all, that is true. Winterman63. He also said he discovered me because of CHGO. Go Bears. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity for allowing me to go out there on Monday nights. And I want to thank everybody for being here. We are going to start keeping these Wednesday nights a little bit short because we are still in a time of year, at least for the next couple of weeks. I got my own training camp going on with the little gunners of AYSO Region 143. My boy has been kicking butt. He has been playing so well. So we're going to go out there and get a training session in right now. We'll probably try to get in one other show this week. We will be back after the preseason game this week to be talking about that, chopping it up, see if we can't get Kimmy Chex or some Chiefs fan to join us, but do appreciate that. But at the very least, we'll be back on with After Dark Monday night with Greg Bragg. So really appreciate the opportunity to do that. So we'll call it right here, Greg. Thank you so much for being here. For Greg, I'm Adam. Thank you so much. Bear down. And Shane, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.